All right, we are back on the record. The record will reflect the presence of all counsel. The defendant is present. All jurors are present. The witness is making her way back into the courtroom. And I will remind you, ma'am, that you are still under oath. All right? All right, Mr. Carlos, you can continue your cross-examination.
Okay. When I left, we talked about you told the police that you, at least your money used, that you may have been, that you thought you were menstruating. Remember that?
Yes, I did say that.
Okay. So is it your testimony now that you were menstruating or you weren't?
I wasn't menstruating before it happened.
Okay. But you do admit that you did tell the police that you were menstruating, right?
Yes, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I thought I was spotting.
Okay. So, but spotting really doesn't go with gushing, right?
Right.
Spotting doesn't really go with blood all over the place, is what you said to the other police, correct?
When it happened?
Yes.
Yes, there was blood all over.
Yeah, just I need you to describe that.
It was water and blood, like it was just like water and blood.
all over the.
It went all over his leg, or him, and my legs, my pants, and then it probably went down on the, when he pulled out, it probably went down on the seat.
Like on the seats.
Right.
And then your pants were down, right?
My pants were down.
By the way, how did your pants get down?
I took them off.
This is after you were in the vehicle and you gave him the oral sex. You took the pants off yourself, right?
Right, when he came over. Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't take them off before he came over the seat, right?
Yeah, I did take them off before he came over.
Okay, so just I want to paint a picture here.
Yeah, because he's big. How he couldn't fit there, you know. In the
Right. So basically, what happens? I mean, what you've said now on cross-examination is that you leaned over. He didn't grab your head, didn't grab your hair. You gave him oral sex. You then, after a couple minutes, pulled out yourself. You just stopped doing it, right?
Right.
And then you were seated in the passenger seat, correct?
Yes.
And you had your pants on.
Right.
So these are these white kind of leather pants.
Right.
Are they plastic or are they actually leather?
I don't know. I don't remember. White pants.
Okay, they're white. And so now he's over in the driver's seat. He's got his pants down. You're in the passenger seat with your pants on.
Right.
You take your pants off, and then, and I'm taking because they're pants, they're like one leg comes off.
Right.
The other leg comes off.
Right.
So you don't have any pants.
Mine just went to my knees.
Okay. But you said your legs were spread.
Yeah, but they still had it. I kept them on the bottom of it.
So you're.
I didn't take them off. I had to get out. You know, like both legs out.
Okay. But I mean, just physically, if you're sitting in a car and you're taking off a pair of pants, you gotta unbuckle the button at the top, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you gotta. Is there a zipper?
Yes.
You gotta do the zipper. It's two movements.
Yes.
Right? And then you gotta kind of wiggle out of the pants and pull them down over your knees and then down to your ankles.
Right.
And you did that on your own, right?
Yes. Because he told me to take off my pants.
I told you to take your pants off. And then he jumped over and you guys had sex.
Right.
So, and then the way he described it was, this individual, Dominique, if it was Mr. Winslow, was a large man, right?
Yes.
And it's a small area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
You agree with me, it's a small area.
Right.
Crawling on top of you to then penetrate you.
Right.
And then you're
Yes.
screaming and all that.
Yes.
And so that we're clear though, you're saying now that you weren't menstruating that day.
Right.
So the blood that you had that day was a result of some sort of trauma.
Yes.
Okay? Some tearing, clearly, because
Right.
you agree?
Exactly.
I mean, it's your body.
Yeah, it felt like my water bag blurb or something. It was gushing, it was all red. And it was just a lot of, it felt like a lot of water, but it just gushed, like all of a sudden, swish, just like that.
So do you recall testifying at the preliminary hearing in this matter?
No.
You were in court, right? Remember?
Yes.
And you came in and you swore to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
And you answered questions from the lawyers.
Yes.
Do you know what a preliminary hearing is? It was back on July 11th, 2018. Remember in front of Judge Elias right down the hall? That's what he's talking about,
Okay.
okay? And can you give a page number and line number if you're gonna make certain references, please?
134.
134?
134 lines 2 to 5.
Okay, thank you, go ahead.
You recall the hearing, right?
Yes.
And you were brought to testify about the facts of the case.
Yes.
You were asked about menstruating,
Yes.
and do you recall what you said?
I guess I said I was on my period.
So back then under oath, let me ask you this. Do you recall saying, the question was, but now the truth is you were menstruating, correct? And your answer was, I guess, yes. I guess I was menstruating. No, I wasn't. I guess, yes. Okay, yes, I was. Do you remember that answer?
Yes, if I said it, I said it.
Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Which means that you really don't know whether you were or not, right?
Yes, I was menstruating.
Okay, so you're menstruating. So, the blood that we're talking about here was from menstruating rather than being penetrated and assaulted, correct?
Yes, yes, sorry.
Okay, so now it's over. Guy gets off of you, climbs back over to the driver's seat, or does he get out of the car?
He climbed over.
So, big guy climbs back. By the way, he's got this leotard on, right? You described it. It's a sort of a one-piece thing that
Right.
you take down at the shoulders,
Uh-huh.
and then you got to
Is
peel.
that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, next question.
And then you got to peel it down, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And he had some drawstring shorts over that.
Yes.
Okay. So you had to pull both those things off completely in order to climb over the seat to get to you in the first place, right?
Yes.
I'm just getting the image here. So this individual, large individual now has like no clothes on, climbing over the passenger seat to get into the climbing over the console to get into the passenger seat to get on top of you, right?
Yes.
Okay, thing happens, he climbs back over to where his clothes are, sits in the passenger seat, and then starts pulling on his one-piece leotard first.
Right.
And then his drawstring shorts.
Right.
And by the way, you didn't see a gun, right? Because you saw him no clothes, I take it.
Right.
I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, you've seen him on the other side of the fence and he has no clothes, right?
Yes.
He didn't have a gun, right?
Right.
Didn't have a knife,
Right.
didn't have any weapon at all, right? Because the guy had no clothes on.
Right.
So, in the car, now you know he doesn't have a gun, you know he doesn't have a knife, correct?
Correct.
So, he climbs back over and then he puts his clothes on. And then says to you, get the fuck out.
Right.
You, sitting in the passenger seat, are upset, clearly, put your pants on, and you exit the vehicle.
Yes.
Now, guy then gets in the car and drives away, and you run out there after him, screaming and yelling. Correct?
Yes.
Now you're screaming and yelling. Correct?
Well, he was already halfway gone. He was gone, leaving.
Right, that was the point, is you ran after the car, after you were told to get the fuck out of the vehicle.
He was already.
The question is, after you were told to get the fuck out of the vehicle, which you did, and the car starts taking off, you, now for the first time, start running after the car, correct?
No, I didn't run after the car. I just ran to the building to see which way he was going.
Okay, so you ran to the building to see which way it was going. You ran, that's the point. You did run, right?
Right.
Okay, so you run to the building to see where the car was going. You see the car is going, and you start screaming at it. You pervert, you whatever. You said that to him, right?
Yes.
Remember? You were making
I
a scene.
did, I screamed it out loud.
Yeah, you were able to make a scene. You were screaming, you were yelling, you pervert, you asshole, shit like that. You're saying that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you were able to do that because you were upset.
Right.
Car drives. You're angry, angry because you've just been assaulted, right?
Exactly.
And you have your phone because you brought it back from the ice plant into the car, correct?
Right.
And when you were kicked out of the car, you had the backpack with you, right?
Right.
And you had your phone. You had your phone the entire time.
Yes.
911. You know what that means, right?
Yes.
You didn't do that.
Yes.
And when that car left, when this rapist terrorist left, you didn't pick up your phone and go 911, did you?
No.
You didn't pick up your phone and call home and say, you know what, I've just been assaulted, did you?
No.
You didn't call the police, at their substation and say, you know what, there's a rapist terrorist out here that just assaulted me. You didn't do that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so instead what you did was you went around your normal day. You continued to walk down to the bus stop, right?
Right.
Walk down to the bus stop, you use the bathroom.
Yes.
Just a moment. Just letting the court reporter catch up. Go ahead.
I'll slow down.
It was a quick question and answer, and she was falling behind. She's a good court reporter, but she was barely on the edge, so go ahead.
Let me get the witness can get some water.
All right, and let me do this. Can you hand me those exhibits so we don't risk spilling water on those? Great, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Carlos, next question.
So, anyways,
Yes. Oh, thank you.
rather than contacting any law enforcement, what you do instead is go down and do your cruising around. Fair to say, right?
Right.
Normal day in Jane Doe, except for this assault, it's a normal day in Jane Doe's life, right?
Yes.
Down to the bus stop, to the bathroom at the bus stop,
Right.
see some people you know,
Yes.
and then the first person you saw, you said, hey, you know what, I just got assaulted up the street. You didn't do that, did you?
I didn't say a word. I went in the bathroom and cried.
Oh, okay. When you interviewed with either the prosecutor or the police or at the preliminary hearing, did you ever tell anybody you went into the bathroom and cried?
No.
No, you didn't. It's the first time you said that today, correct?
Yes.
Right. But what you didn't do is you didn't call any law enforcement at all.
No, I didn't.
Instead, what you did, you waited for 4 days before you contacted the police.
Yes.
Right? And in between those 4 days, you went about your business, right?
Right.
You continue to cruise around and see people that you saw, right?
Yes.
Talk to people on the streets that you know.
Yes.
You contacted the police because, what, a friend told you to contact the police?
It was my decision. I
Sure.
contacted.
That's right, you said that you didn't want this person to go out and hurt other people,
Yes, I did say that.
right? So, my question to you is, why wouldn't you have reported it right away if you didn't want them to hurt other people?
I made a mistake.
So after you tell the police about an assault, they contact you, remember?
Yes.
And they ask you to come in for a follow-up investigation.
Yes.
But you say, I don't want to go down there, you should just call me. I want to talk to you on the phone. Remember that?
Yes.
Were you cooperative with them on the phone?
I don't remember.
Okay. Because you either were or you weren't. I mean, cooperative means you give the information, otherwise.
I
uncooperative.
talked to him a couple times. I just don't remember what I said.
Okay. So during the phone conversation, do you remember they asked you whether you want to take a SART exam?
Yes.
So the detective, or whoever called you from law enforcement, told you that a SART exam is a very, very important evidentiary tool that they can use to get evidence to find the assailant. They told you that, didn't they?
Yes,
They told you that by doing this, they could get corroborative information to go find this dangerous person that's out on the streets, correct?
yes.
Well, what did you say? What did you tell them?
I
About
just
the
didn't
subject.
want to go get an exam.
They didn't want to get us.
I didn't want to go to the emergency room.
They didn't want to get us. They told you that, you know what? We do this all the time. You're going to go to a SANE nurse. It's called a SANE nurse. She's a specialist. She's going to run through some tests for you. It's an easy thing. They told you that.
Yes,
But you said, I don't feel like it. Remember that?
yes,
I told them, I don't feel like going. I don't like it. I don't want to do so. Right?
I did say that.
Even though you knew that that would provide potential evidence to find this dangerous person that you think is going to go out and kill other people. They're threatening to kill you. Yes?
Yes,
You talked to an officer, Stevens, you remember that?
yes,
And he asked you, he said, well, what do you want done? You know, what do you want out of this thing? Do you remember that?
yes.
You remember what you said to him?
Just in case that he does this to someone else.
Do you recall telling him, I don't want to go to court? I'm not in the mood for that? That's something you said to him, isn't it?
I think I did say that.
Yeah. Because you weren't in the mood for it, were you? I mean,
I just don't like coming to court.
don't like going to court.
It's not my thing.
Not your thing. And so it's cooperating with the police in an investigation and sex assault of potentially dangerous individuals. It's not your thing.
I went up there, didn't I?
But when they ask you to come, they ask you what you want to do, you said, I'm not in the mood for any of that, right?
I did say that.
They said, you want us to investigate, do a full investigation, do a SAR exam, go to the hospital, all that? You remember what you said to them?
I said no to the exam, but right before I left, I said, I will testify, or if you prosecute or something.
Right. You weren't just in the mood, you were in the mood to help, right?
Objection asked and answered, argumentative.
Sustained.
You
You don't need to answer that question. Next question.
You had several opportunities to assist the prosecution by giving them physical evidence through a SAR exam, right?
Yes.
Objection assumes facts not in evidence, misstates the evidence.
Overruled. You can cover it on redirect. The answer will stand. Next question.
But once again, you refused to do that.
The STAR exam?
Yeah.
Yes,
But you did give them your pants, right?
yes,
But the pants you washed in between the time of the alleged assault and the time you gave it to them 6 weeks later,
yes.
or 3 months later it was, right?
I don't know.
Did you wear those pants after the assault?
No, I hung them up.
And I just want to see this. If you say there was blood all over the place, it was all over your pants too,
Mhm.
right?
Right,
Before you washed them?
right.
So you're walking around downtown, so you're just going about your day for hours with these pants with blood all over them?
Yes.
Nobody stopped you and said, are you okay? Nothing?
No,
None of your friends in the streets said, hey, what happened to you?
no.
He said, quick question. Do you recall telling, in the preliminary hearing that the individual said to you that they're on a suicide mission?
Yes, I remember that.
How did that come up?
When we pulled into the parking lot, he just said, I'm on, He said that, I remember, when we were going under the bridge, he said that, and then he said it again when we were sitting in the car.
Counsel, can I get a page and line number, please?
I haven't started the page, I just a general question, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, all right. When you do, let me know.
Okay.
Next question.
So he talked about a suicide mission. How did that make you feel?
That's why I think I got so scared that I didn't react and run and grab the wheel, or that's, because he just threatened me, and he made me feel that he was really gonna kill, a lot, me and maybe somebody else. He said that he didn't care who watched. We were in front of almost the park. There was kids over there at the skate park over there in the back.
Kids in the park, people in the shopping center,
Exactly.
cars, lots of people around, right?
Yes.
So, do you recall saying that he said he was on I'm going to refer to preliminary transcript, page 105, lines 13 to 15.
Thank you.
You said that he's on a suicide mission, and as a mother, I felt guilty. I felt, oh God, I put this man in a situation. Remember that?
Yes, I remember what I said.
So you put this man in a situation?
Well, he threatened to kill me, and he kept on threatening to kill me, and he goes, I'll chop you up, or he just kept on threatening to kill me.
So how is it that, it was kind of a remark that you made in the
That-
preliminary hearing.
Well, I felt bad because I thumbed, and now here I am in the back of his, in his car.
You volunteered this particular statement, and it says you felt guilty because you put him in a situation. You recall that?
Not him. I felt guilty for the other, the public.
Well, your words, can I get preliminary transcript 105?
Your Honor, we object to the displaying of the transcript.
Sustained, she said that, so there's no inconsistent statement. You can inquire about what she meant about the statement.
Did you say that I put this man in a situation? Not that he put you in a situation. You said I, meaning you, put this man in a situation. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay. And so those are your words. No one's putting those words into your mouth, right?
Right.
So you put that man, whoever it was, in a situation where now he's on a suicide mission. That's what it means. Am I missing something?
Yes, I guess that's what it is.
Okay. So you also testified that there was never any talk about money, right?
No.
Right? This wasn't about you. You're telling this jury that you never asked Dominique or whoever this person was that picked you up that you needed money for shopping.
No.
It's your testimony that when that person picked you up, you didn't say, hey, how's it going? Didn't say that?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, you did say that, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, I'm going out, St. Patrick's Day, recall saying that,
Yes, I did say that.
right? And you said, I need money for shopping.
I don't recall saying that.
Okay. You don't recall saying
I
need
don't
money
go
for
out
shopping?
anywhere usually unless I have enough money, so.
Did you imply that you needed money for shopping for sex?
No,
And you're sure of that?
positive.
You're positive, just as positive as you are, that Mr. Winslow had a shaved head at the preliminary hearing.
He cut his hair though. It was longer.
You said it was a shaved head. So
Well,
what is it?
it might not have been bald, but when he was in his blues, and I saw him on the TV, yeah. That's exactly what I was describing.
Okay.
Okay, when I saw him in the courtroom that day, I can't, from here to there, I wasn't sure, but it's him.
Okay, so you are basing that description then what you saw on TV, right?
Exactly.
So we know that this individual picked you up in a very nice car. Clearly the car was worth some money, right?
Right?
You say that he raped you.
Yes,
You waited a couple days before you reported it.
yes,
You refused to give the SART exam or cooperate in further investigation, correct?
yes,
And then you saw after the arrest that he was a pro football player because you looked at him on the news, right?
yes,
And you saw that it was Kellen Winslow. Winslow's a big name, isn't it?
yes,
Okay. And you also testified that you'd walk around, you cruise around, and you talk to everybody. You talk to people on the streets, correct?
yes,
And did you talk to any lawyers?
no.
Never talked to any lawyers at all?
About money?
Yes. About money? No? Okay. None of your friends told you that you could potentially get money out of this?
No.
And you're certain of that?
I'm positive.
You say positive a lot. You're positive about a lot of things. Just
Objection, argumentative, no question pending.
Sustained.
Are you-
The jury will disregard the last comment. You can, just a moment, Mr. Carlos. You can ask a question. Go ahead.
are you as positive, well, I'll withdraw that. You're certain that you have never discussed money with anybody in regards to Mr. Winslow's case?
Yes,
Just as certain as you are about everything else you testified.
Objection,
today.
argumentative.
Overruled. I'll allow it. You can answer.
Just as certain as you are with everything else you testified here today.
yes.
Nothing further from this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Any redirect?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead.
Ms. Doe, Mr. Carlos was asking a number of questions about why it was that you didn't actually come forward, why you didn't report this immediately afterwards, why you didn't call 911, why you didn't scream for help. How can you best explain the reason why you didn't cry for help at the very first moment that you got out of the car?
I just didn't. I just made up my mind that I wasn't gonna call him. The cops. I guess nobody came up to me or anything, you know, I walked over to the thing and watched him leave to make sure he was leaving, and, I just said Herbert, and then, I didn't say anything. I don't know. I just don't know why. I just didn't say anything.
You were asked questions about your identification of the person during cross-examination a while ago. You testified this morning that you recall him saying a name such as Dominique, is that right?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you previously told the district attorney's office with Detective Benavides present and district attorney investigator?
That's leading, Your Honor.
Overruled. You just hear the question. Go ahead.
Kathy,
Wait, what?
isn't it true that you previously told in June of 2018 both Detective Benavides and district attorney investigator Kathy Pierce that the person identified himself as Deshaun or Michael?
I don't remember. Is that what I said?
As you best recall today, your testimony that you used the name Dominique.
Yes.
Do you recall when you actually spoke to the district attorney investigator and Detective Benavides here in the Vista Courthouse?
Yes.
Do you remember the name that you gave them on that day?
I thought it was Dominique.
Would it refresh your recollection to refer to a report of that interview?
I'm sorry. What's the answer?
Yes.
Okay.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Sure. Do you need reading glasses though? Can you read that?
I'll show it to you.
Okay.
And the base.
Just over to page 16. I believe that's what it says.
Debate stand
Yes.
is what?
16.
Okay, 16.
And direct your attention to the third paragraph.
Just read it to yourself, and when you're done, you can look up.
Were you able to read that?
Yes.
All right, next question.
Does that refresh your recollection as to the name that you recalled, at least as of June 12, 2018?
Yes,
What was the name that you provided Detective Benavides and
it was
District Attorney?
Michael and
Was it Michael and Deshawn?
it was Michael and Gizon.
Now, you testified this morning that you at least recalled, as of today, that it was Dominique, right?
Yes,
Did you tell Detective Benavides and District Attorney Investigator Pierce that the man said that he was from Oceanside?
yes,
And he gave you a name, at least as you remembered it in June of 2018, at least a name that was different from what you testified to today, right?
right.
Did you also detail the specific threats that were made to you at the time that this happened on March 17th of 2018, when you spoke to the investigators on June 12th?
Yes,
Now, in terms of the specifics, did you tell them that this man told you, "I'm not letting you go, I'm going to have sex with you"?
yes,
Did he tell you that he was not going to pull over, or that he was going to pull over into the shopping center and have sex with you?
yes,
Did he tell you that he wanted to screw you outside by the freeway?
yes,
Did he keep telling you that he was going to kill you?
yes,
You said this to the investigators on June 12th of 2018, right?
yes,
You recall on March 21st of 2018, you met with a deputy at the sheriff's substation who was referred to as Deputy Stevens. Do you recall meeting with the male deputy when you first reported this to law enforcement?
yes.
Did you also tell him that the man had threatened to kill you?
No, I don't think I told him that.
It's fair to say it's tough to recall the specifics of what you said to everybody each time they talked to you.
Objection,
Right.
it's leading.
Overruled. I'll allow it. The answer will stand. Next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you know whether or not those two interviews were actually recorded? Do you remember?
The first one was,
You remember seeing a camera that he set up there on the table and he showed you and called it even a nifty little gadget that had a video recording that was ongoing, correct?
yes,
Okay, just to be clear, we're talking about March 21st interview or the June 12th interview?
The first interview on March 21st, is that right?
yes,
And that's one you're referring to now, ma'am?
yes.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me just have a moment.
Go ahead.
During the course of that interview, you told him, or you told the deputy that he told you, "I'm not letting you go."
Improper rehabilitation.
Oh, well, we'll see if it's an inconsistent statement. You can ask the question. Go ahead.
You told him, you told the deputy that the individual who had picked you up in his black hardtop SUV that you described as a Jeep, you told him the man said, "I'm not letting you go." Is that right?
That's right.
He then said, "I'm going to have sex with you." Is that right?
Right,
And he repeated, "I'm going to have sex with you." Is that right?
right,
And he said, "I'm going to pull over and we're going to have sex." Is that right?
yes,
And did you tell the deputy that you told the man, "There's no way"?
yes,
And he said, "I'm going to pull in right here, you're going to get out right here, we're going to have sex in the parking lot." That's what you told the deputy on March 21st, isn't that right?
yes,
And then you told him that you pulled in near the Rite Aid, you went to the back by the Vons, by the Rite Aid, and then there was a fitness center or 24-hour fitness, and the man said, "I'm going to kill you if you move." Isn't that right?
yes,
You said further that the man told you, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." And he kept repeating it. Is that right?
Yes.
And then he further said, "I'm going to kill you. You know, if you don't let me have sex with you, I'm going to kill you right here. That's all I'm going to say." Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, when you were describing the vehicle that the man picked you up in, when you talked to Deputy Stevens on March 21st, the first time that you ever spoke to law enforcement, didn't you tell him that this guy pulls over in his in a black car, looked like a Hummer, but it was like a Jeep, but it didn't look like the Wranglers, though? You remember saying that?
Yes.
That was the first time you were describing the vehicle to law enforcement, and you said it looked like a Hummer, but it was like a Jeep. You remember that, right?
Right.
You were shown photographs by Mr. Carlos, and it's true that when you've been interviewed repeatedly and testified in court, you described it as a Jeep, right?
Yes.
As far as you know, was the vehicle that you identified in the photograph the same vehicle that picked you up, as you can best recall as you sit here now?
Once again?
The vehicle that you identified in the photograph, is it the same vehicle that picked you up?
That one?
The one that was shown to you earlier on the monitor? Do you know?
No, I can't remember.
Okay, we were talking about the vehicle that was on that TV screen that was a side picture. Ever remember that?
Right.
Okay, is that the picture you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, that's court exhibit number 72. Next
Thank
question.
you, Your Honor. And you don't know, do you?
Don't know what?
You don't know if that's the same vehicle, is that correct?
I don't know.
But at least when you were questioned about the type of vehicle that picked you up, you used the words, it was like a Hummer, it was like a Jeep, right?
Yes.
Now, when you were describing to Deputy Stevens what happened after you had first gotten into the vehicle, you told him that we go into the parking lot into the back, and then he goes, "I'm going to I'm going to fuck you, and if you don't, do what I tell you to do, I'm going to kill you right here, right now." Do you remember describing that to Deputy Stevens?
Yes.
And you went on to describe what he did when he directed you to get out of the vehicle, when he directed you to remove your clothes, when he directed you over the fence. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you told him the whole, as best you could recall, the whole sequence of events that happened based upon his questioning at that time, right?
Yes.
When you were interviewed at the district attorney's office, was one of the first things that we talked to you about on June 12th of 2018, whether or not you would personally be willing to testify in a case if we were able to identify the perpetrator.
Objection, leading, and vouching.
Overruled on both grounds. It's foundational. You can answer yes or no.
Is that one of the first questions that we asked you?
Yes.
Do you remember having to think about it?
Objection, leading.
Sustained. You can ask your next question. I'm about to answer that question.
Thank you, Your Honor. What did you think in response to that question?
If it was the right person that yeah, I think I did say yes, I would after you questioned me.
At that point in time, did you know who the person was that had done this to you? On June 12th, 2018, before you had ever come to court, before you had ever received any court paperwork?
No, I didn't know until I got the subpoena.
That's what I want to talk to you about now. Do you recall on June 25th of 2018, and I know that these dates are difficult, you've been asked about a lot of specific dates and it's hard to recall, but do you remember when a victim advocate from the district attorney's office and an investigator from the district attorney's office and Kathy Pierce met with you and me to let you know that there had been an arrest in the case? Do you remember that day? when we all met together?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Do you remember Investigator Pierce providing you with a subpoena to come to court to testify at the preliminary hearing that the court was referring you to earlier?
Yes,
Was that the first time that you received that subpoena to come to court where it contained any information from anyone about the name of the individual?
that was the first time that I knew, I read it.
And when Investigator Pierce gave you that subpoena for court, did you read the name of the defendant on the subpoena and say that you recognized the name as a football player who had played for the Chargers?
Yes, I did say that.
Now, we're talking about June 25th of 2018, 3 months and 4 days after you went to the sheriff's department and told them that a black man driving a black vehicle had picked you up and raped you in the way you described, right?
Yes,
When you went into the sheriff's department on March 21st, you didn't come in and tell them any other name other than the name that was given to you by the person saying that he was from Oceanside and you thought he might be a gang member, right?
yes,
On the day that this happened, did you want to have sex with the man who had picked you up in his car?
no,
Did you want to be taken to the back of that shopping center against your will?
no,
Did you want to perform oral sex on him?
no,
Would you have done any of those things if he hadn't threatened to kill you?
no.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, can you recross?
Just briefly, in the Jeep, after you gave oral sex to the man, did you say bring it on? Remember that?
I begged him to let me go, and he said, I will after this is done, so.
Did you say bring it on?
I said, bring it on so we can get this, so I can get out of here.
And then further.
All right, anything further?
No, thank you.
All right, can this witness be excused?
She may.
All right, Mr. Carlos?
Your Honor, I don't have access to this witness.
Your Honor, I'm
because-
going to object and ask to go
Subject to
sidebar.
recall or excused?
I'm asking subject to recall.
All right, ma'am, you are excused for today. You are subject to recall. That means that there's a possibility that you might be called back to testify, so stay in touch with the DA's office. And if you're in need, I'm going to order you back to court if we need you to testify again, okay?
Okay.
But for today, you're done. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day. All right, next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people recall Detective Mike Benavides.
All right. You're still under oath, so you can come on up. All right, and as I indicated, you're still under oath from this morning. All right, so direct examination.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Detective Benavides, have you been present during the testimony of Jane Doe number 1?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you, in addition to some of the things we talked about this morning during your testimony regarding the collection of evidence, I'm going to ask you about some dates and time that relate to your investigation into the reported sexual assault of Jane Doe number 1. Now, was the first contact, based upon your knowledge, the first contact that she had with law enforcement after this incident, March 21st of 2018?
Yes.
Did the deputy who took that report, was that Deputy Stevens?
Yes.
Did you in fact review the recorded interview on a body-worn camera video recorder of the contact between Deputy Stevens and Jane Doe 1?
Yes.
When, as you said this morning, you were assigned the case for follow-up within a couple of days, I think you said March 25th of 2018, was that one of the first things you did?
Yes.
Why was it that you reviewed the initial point of contact interview from the sheriff's deputy with Jane Doe 1?
Just to clarify the statement she provided to Deputy Stevens.
And in terms of you as the sexual assault detective, when you're following up on a crime report, is it fair to say that at least in terms of your experience, that the initial contact for a crime report may be more limited questioning than a follow-up interview?
Yes.
What did you do after reviewing the first recording of Deputy Stevens' interview with Jane Doe 1?
I telephoned Jane Doe number 1, requested to meet with her in person for a formal interview.
Why did you do that?
Just so I can clarify her statement and see if she had any additional information to provide.
And do you recall the date that you first attempted to make contact with Jane Doe 1?
I had to refer to my notes, the exact date.
If that would refresh your recollection
Yes.
as to the efforts you made to contact her and interview her, please do.
March 30th is when I telephoned her.
So if you were assigned the case on March 25th, you reviewed the interview, you attempted to contact her on March 30th, is that right?
Yes,
Now, once you had attempted to contact her, were you successful in actually reaching her initially?
no.
What did you do?
I left her a voicemail, gave her my contact information to call me.
Did you receive a return call?
No.
What did you do after that?
I actually telephoned the area detective at the station to obtain more information about the case.
And after doing that, did you ultimately attempt to contact Jane Doe number 1 again?
Yes,
When did you do that?
I did that on April 18th.
Now, we're talking about over a month after the incident and nearly a month after she first reported it. Did you ever receive any additional contact or intervening contact from Jane Doe 1 in response to your first voicemail?
No,
Is it fair to say that she wasn't banging down your door trying to find you?
that's correct.
Now, based upon the lack of contact with Jane Doe number 1, was there a decision made to suspend your investigation at a certain point?
Yes,
Now, you were present during the questioning of Jane Doe 1 as it related to whether or not she elected to participate in a sexual assault examination. You recall that testimony by her?
yes.
Can you explain to the jury how it is that you explained to a reported victim of sexual assault her options in terms of whether or not she would like to complete a sexual assault exam?
Well, every victim that I have of a sexual assault, we do offer a SART exam with the forensic nurse, and I explain the process as far as the questioning. There's examination done by the forensic nurse, and when we do bring him or her to the SART facility, that forensic nurse again explains in detail the process.
And do you explain to them at the outset that it is their right to either participate in one or to decline one?
Yes,
Did you ever personally have that conversation with Jane Doe 1 as it related to this case?
as far as offering a SART,
Did you? Yes.
I didn't offer a SART because when I watched the body-worn camera, Deputy Stevens had offered the SART.
And that was my next question. Was there in fact a time on March 21st when Deputy Stevens, based on your review of the recording, had actually done that already?
Yes, he did.
And did he ask her if she would like to go to the hospital to complete a sexual assault exam?
Yes, he did.
Did she decline?
She declined.
Did he tell her that it was her right to either accept it or to decline it?
Yes.
Now, when, based upon your experience when you're conducting a sexual assault investigation, do you oftentimes see individuals who decline to participate in a SART exam?
Yes.
Have you personally been present during at least the initial portion of a sexual assault exam where the same is explaining to the reported victim that what her options are
Yes.
and that what the actual process itself entails?
Yes.
Would you characterize it as an invasive physical process?
No, I would not an invasive. It's just a collection of evidence.
Now, at least as it relates to Jane Doe 1, you were never involved in a direct conversation with her about her reasons for not wanting to participate in the sexual assault exam, right?
No.
So then moving forward from the time that you attempted to contact her again in April of 2018, do you recall when it was that the case was formally suspended?
I'm referring to my notes here.
Please do, if it would refresh your recollection as to that date.
On April 26th.
Now, what was it that came to light that reopened that case investigation into the incident that Jane Doe 1 reported?
When there was another reported incident in Encinitas that Detective Johnson had received.
And I think that we discussed it briefly this morning during your testimony, but were you in fact contacted by Detective Johnson, who worked within your same sexual assault unit, about a separately reported stranger rape?
Yes.
You already described what a stranger rape is, but what was it about the separately reported incident that had common characteristics with yours?
The suspect description and the vehicle description.
Do you recall what about the suspect description in your case was similar to the other case?
A light-skinned black male.
Was there a description of tattoos extending from the arm all the way up to the shoulder?
Yes.
Was there a description of the vehicle?
Yes.
And what were the common attributes regarding the description of the vehicle?
A black-colored sports utility vehicle, SUV.
Now, you heard the testimony of Jane Doe 1 and you reviewed the video recording with Deputy Stevens. Did she in fact initially describe the vehicle as a Hummer or like a Jeep?
A Jeep.
And when you spoke to her ultimately on June 12th of 2018, was that in fact the second time that you had personally met with her?
Yes.
Do you recall the specific date that Detective Johnson reached out to you regarding his sexual assault investigation?
I do not.
When was the first time that you met with Jane Doe 1?
When I showed her a photographic lineup and obtained her DNA oral reference swab.
Did that take place on May 17th of 2018?
Yes.
Now, sometime between when Detective Johnson's investigation was initiated and May 17th of 2018 is that about the time frame when you would have had conversations with him about the common features between the two?
Yes.
On May 17th, how did you reach out to Jane Doe 1 and ultimately meet with her?
I called her and requested that she meet with me, and she agreed.
So she answered the phone this time?
Yes.
What do you recall explaining to her what the reason was as to why you wanted to meet with her now?
Well, I told her that we had a similar incident that may or may not be related to her case, and I requested that she use a photographic lineup.
And did you in fact go to meet with her to show her a photographic lineup?
Yes.
How is it that you develop a photographic lineup in order to show to a potential witness?
We have a potential suspect identified, and that person's placed in a set of photographs, of 6 photographs with 5 similar facial characteristics.
At that point in the investigation, did you have a potential suspect identified?
Yes.
Who was it?
Kellen Winslow, Jr.
How was it that, and is that the same person you've identified in court?
Yes.
How was it that you had, at least at that point, identified Mr. Winslow as a person of interest, at least within the Sheriff's Department?
Just based on Detective Johnson's report, or the incident is very similar to my case.
And obviously we're somewhat out of order chronologically, but was there in fact a positive identification of Kellen Winslow on May 14th of 2018 in that sexual assault investigation?
Referring to Detective Johnson's case?
Yes.
Yes.
So then on May 17th of 2018, as you're meeting with Jane Doe 1, did you attempt to show her a photographic lineup that included a picture of Mr. Winslow?
Yes.
If I may just have one moment to switch over to...
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
about to work. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as Court's Exhibit 24 for identification. And after that, Court's Exhibit 25. So first, beginning with Court's Exhibit 24, do you see that there's a large black marks, redacted boxes that are contained on this exhibit?
Yes.
Can you just walk us through what's shown on Court's Exhibit 24 and explain to us what it is that we're looking at, what the title is, and what information it contains, just generally speaking?
It's what the Sheriff's Department uses for a photo lineup, and this particular one is an admonishment that we read every victim. Admonishment explaining what the photographs are about, how to identify them.
Understanding that it would be paraphrased, can you just explain what that admonishment includes?
Basically, essentially it's explaining it's a group of photographs that may or may not be the suspect, and the best of our ability to identify the person. And it may not be the person, the suspect in the group of photographs.
Does it explain to the person that it's just as important to exonerate an innocent person as it would be to identify a guilty?
Yes.
Is that verbally explained to the potential witness at the time that you're giving them that admonishment?
Yes.
And did you personally administer this photo lineup admonishment to Jane Doe 1?
Yes.
And the area that contains the redacted boxes, would that have the name and address and personal identifying information of Jane Doe 1?
Yes.
You see that at the bottom of Court's Exhibit 24 that it has a line that states deputy showing lineup and an entry that's handwritten there?
Yes.
Is that your name?
Yes.
Did you handwrite that?
Yes.
Do you see that there's a date that's associated with this photo lineup admonishment next to the redacted boxes?
Yes.
What's that date?
March 17th, 2018.
Would that in fact be May? It has a 5?
May, yes.
Okay. Did you just misspeak accidentally?
I suppose.
Okay. It happens, we're in court. So now, does it actually have the time that this was administered as well?
Yes.
And it notes that at the bottom, there's an entry and a checkbox where it says, witness did not identify any photo. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that what happened when you in fact showed the 6-pack lineup to Jane Doe 1?
Yes.
Now showing you People's Exhibit 25 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the photo lineup.
Is this the photo lineup that you actually showed to Jane Doe 1?
Yes.
And is Mr. Winslow depicted in any one of the 6 photographs?
Yes.
Where is he?
Number 6.
In terms of how the filler photographs of the other 5 individuals are generated, how does that happen through the Sheriff's Department?
Well, our crime analyst created this photo lineup that she uses. She wants to make sure that the blue background is similar. So she uses, on this particular case, appears to be the California DMV photograph.
And when you say that it appears to be the California DMV photograph, are there various databases that are available to law enforcement to be able to include fillers within a 6-pack lineup when there is a potential suspect?
Yes.
To your knowledge, is photograph number 6 a DMV photo of Mr. Winslow?
I do not know for sure.
Now, once you showed this 6-pack to Jane Doe 1, did she say anything to you about the name of the individual?
No.
Did you have an opportunity to fully interview her based upon what she had told Deputy Stevens when you met with her on May 17th of 2018?
No.
When was the first time that you spoke to her about the details of what happened in person, where you were actually physically present?
It's during our DA victim interview on June 12th.
And you've heard the discussion about the June 12, 2018 date, right?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not that was recorded?
Yes, it was.
And did that interview in fact take place with both you present and District Attorney Investigator Kathy Pierce?
Yes.
did that interview take place in the Bureau of Investigation in the District Attorney's Office here in Vista?
Yes,
Have you had an opportunity to review the recording of that interview?
yes,
During the course of that interview, did Jane Doe 1 provide a name of the individual that that person used when she first got into his black Jeep style SUV?
yes.
What was the name that she gave?
She provided two names, Deshaun or Michael.
Did she say whether the person who had picked her up in the vehicle had told her where he was from?
Yes.
Where did the person tell her he was from?
Oceanside.
Did she describe him as a black man, but adding that he was light-skinned?
Yes,
Did she describe that he had tattoos that extended from his wrists all the way up to the top of his shoulders?
yes,
Did she in fact describe those tattoos as resembling a chain or a dog leash of some sort?
yes,
With respect to the clothing that the individual wore, did she say that he was wearing a black one-piece outfit similar to a bodysuit?
yes,
Did she say that he had a yellow or orange t-shirt that he was wearing over the bodysuit?
yes,
Did she describe what sorts of what type of shorts he was wearing in addition to the bodysuit?
I don't recall her saying anything about shorts.
Now, when she was describing him physically, his physical description, did she say that he was buff, like a bodybuilder?
Yes,
With respect to the things that the man said to her, other than identifying himself with the names that she gave, saying he was from Oceanside, did she in fact say that they made some small talk about St. Patrick's Day?
yes,
Did she say in that interview on June 12th, before ever having come to court, did she say that the man had threatened to kill her?
yes,
Did she say that that happened as she was passing the high school shortly after she first got into the vehicle when his demeanor changed?
yes,
Now, did she tell you in the June 12th interview that she began to beg him to let her out of the car?
yes,
Did she say that he needed to drop her off?
yes,
And did he tell her that he was not going to let her go, he was going to have sex with her?
yes,
Did she say that he continued to drive her against her will and go into the Vaughn's parking lot?
yes.
Did she describe the shopping center?
I believe she described it as Devon's Shopping Center.
Did she say that there was a Rite Aid there?
Yes.
Did she say that there were other businesses there?
They have 24-hour fitness and place where you wash clothes or something.
Okay. That's your best recollection of your review of that interview
Yeah.
itself, correct?
Yes,
Did she in fact describe the sequence of events where he had threatened to kill her and told her to get out of the car?
yes,
Did she talk about how he told her to get over the fence?
yes,
Did she tell you that he directed her to remove her clothing?
yes,
Did she tell you that he threatened to kill her in the vehicle?
yes,
Did she say that when she had gone over the fence and she could see the freeway with cars passing by, that she thought that he might throw her into the oncoming traffic?
I don't recall that statement.
Do you remember her saying anything about the cars that were passing by?
No,
Now, once she was out there on the other side of the fence, did she describe what the man then did after she had removed her pants?
as far as what he, can you rephrase that question? I'm not sure what you're asking.
What did he tell her to do after he had removed his pants and was on the other side of the fence near the freeway?
I believe he told her to remove her clothing.
After she had removed her clothing, did she say that he changed his mind?
Yes,
What did she say he then said?
something about we can't do this here, or let's go back to the vehicles. I'm not sure exactly what was said.
Something to that effect?
Yes,
And did she then say she went back over the fence and got back in the vehicle with him?
yes.
Objection, Your Honor, this is leading, this is improper rehabilitation. These statements haven't been impeached.
Sustained. Next
Now-
question.
Once she got back into the vehicle, what did she say happened?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, subject to a motion to strike. Go ahead. You're asking what she told this detective on June 12th, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, and it would be a prior consistent statement based upon the cross-examination.
All right, well, let's see. Go ahead.
He requested for Jane Doe to give him a blowjob.
And do you recall if she used that term, or if that's just the way that you were describing it?
I don't recall exactly what the word she used.
Something that indicated oral sex?
Yes,
Did she say that he had threatened her once she had gotten back into the vehicle?
I don't recall if there were additional threats after that.
So then what did she say happened when she had gotten back into the vehicle?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, subject to a motion to strike. You can answer.
I recall she said she performed oral sex for a couple minutes, and then that's when he climbed over on top of her.
Do you recall how she said that he climbed over on top of her when
Yes.
he did?
Yes,
How did she describe that?
and he climbed over on top of her, and that's when he put his penis into her vagina.
Did she say that he had pressed his arm down on the right side of her neck?
I don't recall if that was said during our conversation.
Now, did she say that she in fact bled as a result of the penis being placed inside of her vagina?
Yeah, yes.
Now, after meeting with her and talking to her on June 12th of 2018, was that the same day that you actually collected her underwear and pants that she had worn?
Yes,
Did you ask her whether or not she had ever washed those pants?
yes.
What did she say?
She said, yes, she washed them and they were in a hamper mixed with other clothing.
Do you recall whether or not you ever asked her or she ever said anything about whether she had worn them at any point in time since the incident?
I've never asked her that.
You were present for her testimony today, then, correct?
Yes,
And did you ask her if she would be willing to provide you with those clothes on June 12th of 2018?
yes.
And how did you then retrieve those clothes?
After our interview here, we drove to her residence, but she actually had me park a couple blocks away. She didn't want me to enter her residence or her family members to know what was going on. So she agreed to provide the clothes to me if she went in there and packaged them and handed them over to me. She came back to my vehicle while I waited.
Was I actually the person who asked her if she still had her pants?
Yes,
Was I actually the person who asked her if she would be willing to provide them to law enforcement?
yes,
Was I actually the person who asked her if she had washed them?
I believe so.
When she was willing to provide her pants, you were the person who then went and recovered them from her home, right?
Yes,
Did you impound them in the way that you described this morning?
yes,
And at that point in time, when we met with her on June 12th of 2018, she still didn't know who had done this, right?
correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Benavides, you called Jane Doe 1 first and wasn't able to get a hold of her, is that right?
Correct.
And then you called a local area detective to get more information, is that right?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that we approach sidebar. Or perhaps adjourn for the day.
I can move on, Your Honor, and we can deal with that.
That's an issue we need to finish addressing. I don't know how far you were going to go into this.
I got a lot of other stuff that if you want to use.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into the other stuff.
And then
Thank
we
you very
can
much,
deal
Your
with that in the morning.
Sure.
Okay. Well, you're the lead detective in this case, right?
One of the two,
One of the two, but you're the follow-up guy, right?
yes,
And you did a report in this case,
yes,
and reports are very important because that's where you document the evidence, right?
yes,
Okay. And you document victim statements, right?
yes,
And any other evidence that you may discover.
yes,
Okay. And you documented in your report that Jane Doe 1 told you she was menstruating at the time, right?
Objection, misstate, or assumes facts not in evidence, misstates the evidence.
Well, it's a question, so overruled. You can answer the question. Go ahead.
When I spoke to her, it was more of a clarification. I actually asked her if she was menstruating. She said she was not.
But you documented in your report that Jane Doe 1 recalled she was menstruating. That's what you documented in your
Objection,
report, right?
calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
I documented, it should have been in a background investigation. I read it from Deputy Stevens' report. I usually put that in the background of my report.
Same
and then-
objection.
All right, sustained, that answer will be stricken. The answer was whether it was in your report and whether she told you. So the jury will disregard that last statement regarding what this witness read from Deputy Stevens' report. That entire answer is stricken from the record, treated as though you didn't hear it. All right, next question.
So when you say you put this in your report, you actually copied from Deputy Stevens' report, is that correct?
No, it's more of a background information on my report, just for, as a reference.
Well, background information is important for you, right?
Yes,
And you documented in your background information that Jane Doe 1 said she was menstruating, is that right?
Same
Yes.
objection.
All right, it's being offered for its truth or as an inconsistent or consistent statement, but this is not the source of the information. So the objection will be sustained, the jury will disregard the answer. And it looks like we have at least 12 minutes of discussions to have about this, so why don't we go ahead and excuse the jury for the day. The court staff has a lot of work to do once you leave the courthouse, so we're going to go ahead and take an early break today, and we'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Please remember the admonition, don't discuss the case with anybody. Please don't look at any news accounts of this trial from any source whatsoever. And please make sure you're on time. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning right at 9 o'clock. Have a nice evening. You're asking this witness about something that somebody else told him. You're certainly free to call, I think, Deputy Stevens. Was it Deputy Stevens who?
Detective Bizzuti and Stevens.
Okay.
Stevens.
You can call them to tell them what Jane Doe number 1 told them, but if it wasn't told to this detective, then you don't have sufficient foundation. I'm not stating that you can't impeach her with that testimony. You just have to do it to the proper witness.
Well, Your Honor, my position is,
Just a moment, we can't talk at the same time. Go ahead, Mr. Watkins.
my position is that he documented in his report. So his report is what he's using to do the investigation. So he documented various information that he, of course, receives from other sources. So my question to him was simply, did he document that in his report?
Oh, I understand. It's just not admissible.
Well,
So, Mr. Owens, what's your position?
That is the basis for the people's objection, is clearly double hearsay and being offered for its truth, and that the proper witness to introduce that information would be Deputy Stevens.
Correct.
It's not offered for its truth, Your Honor. I'm offering it for the effect on the listener, what he did in his investigation.
Okay, then it's not relevant.
Well, what he did in his investigation is relevant. I mean, the prosecution just asked him what he did, what steps did he take in this investigation to link these crimes up and stuff. So if I want to go into what he did in his investigation, what information he had, and why he did what he did, it's absolutely relevant.
Okay, so you want to offer it only as it pertains to how this detective conducted his investigation?
Correct.
And not for the truth of what she said?
Right.
And not as a prior inconsistent statement or not as a prior consistent statement?
Well, I think it comes in under those exceptions also, but mainly for the effect on the listener, for why he did what he did.
Well, it cannot come in as a prior consistent or inconsistent statement unless this was the person that Jane Doe number 1 made the statement to. Otherwise, it's hearsay. Now,
Understood.
it is not hearsay if you are questioning him about the information he relied on to conduct his investigation, if you're calling the investigation into question. Is that what you're doing?
Correct.
All right, then it would certainly come in for that purpose. That satisfies the hearsay step. The next question, is it relevant? Okay, so what's the relevance then of the fact that he documented in his report what Jane Doe number 1 said? Does it have to do with how he determined what was necessary to impound as evidence?
Right, and I want to see if he went to the truck to look for blood, because if she said that she was menstruating, that seems like there would be evidence of blood, that he'd go to the truck to find blood.
Okay, whether she was menstruating or not, they're still going to look for blood, correct?
Maybe not.
Well, all right, Mr. Owens, what's your position?
If he's going to ask this detective whether or not there was further forensic analysis done on the vehicle, I have no problem with that line of questioning. And if it was as a result of the statements that were made to Deputy Stevens and to him, I could see that there would have some relevance, but this would not be the witness who would be able to testify to the forensic processing done and the chemical analysis of it and ultimately the findings. So if it's just a continuum of was there forensic processing done, then I would have no objection to that line of question.
Okay, here's what we'll do. It does have some relevance. This is the lead detective on this particular case. I will allow the question and the answer, and I will instruct the jury it's not to be considered for its truth, only the effect it has on his next step in the investigation, all right? But let's get down to it. Those detectives will eventually testify, and it will come in to impeach the credibility of the witness if they're called to testify. I will allow it for that purpose, but for this witness, and this witness only, it's not coming in to affect the credibility of Jane Doe number 1, only for the relevance that it has, and I will say it's a slight relevance, because I think whether Jane Doe number 1 was menstruating or not, they're still going to tear that Hummer apart and look for biological evidence.
I don't know that.
Well, you can ask.
Okay.
I'm allowing it, but I'm going to use it, I'll allow it with a limiting instruction. All right, anything else we need to discuss?
Yes,
Since
Your
we
Honor.
have the time, Your Honor.
The second issue.
Yes.
He questioned Officer Benavides, and Officer Benavides says that he spoke to another local area detective seeking information. My question is, what information did he receive? The prosecution objected because they don't like the information that was received, which was that they received information that Jane Doe 1 was a 5150 transient.
All right, just a
And-
moment. Who's the detective or the area detective that he spoke to?
That would be Robert Pizzuti, Your Honor, and we
And-
previously discussed this already.
Right, we already discussed this. We're going to have a 402 hearing on it. It's on Sunday at 4 o'clock, so we've already dealt with this. And what I'm getting is 2 offers of proof. I'm getting 1 offer of proof from the people and a separate offer of proof from the defense, and I can't make my ruling when there's a factual dispute. So what we're going to do is have Pizzuti, that's his name, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Pizzuti's going to come in for a 402 hearing. I'm going to hear from that detective myself, and then we'll make the ruling. So any cross-examination on that issue needs to wait until we have the 402 hearing. And when are we going to do that?
We could, I think that what we discussed on Friday was doing that at the end of the week, this Thursday at 4 o'clock. That's what I proposed.
Any day at 4 o'clock, because it's going to be a very short hearing. And I want it at the end of the day so we can cut the jury loose. I don't want those jurors waiting around out in the hallway for this. So we can do it on Thursday, and we can reserve cross-examination on that issue. Detective Benavides will be subject to recall, and I will allow you the opportunity to examine that area once I make my ruling if I determine that it's admissible.
My
Your Honor,
position on
if I
it,
can.
Just a minute. Go ahead.
my position on it is that Officer Benavides just testified that they suspended the investigation. They suspended the investigation based on partly because of the victim's statement. Limited suspect information, no
And
physical evidence.
limited contact with the victim. right?
So the information that he received from this local area detective, whether it's Pizzuti or anyone, is information that he used to suspend the investigation, that he received information that she was a local 5150 transient and that she was not believable. I think that information, I want to ask him, did that information factor into his decision to suspend the investigation?
Right.
It's a proper question.
We're having a 402 hearing to determine if the statement is admissible to attack the character of Jane Doe number 1. You're switching gears now and saying, despite that, it's relevant for the effect that it has on investigation, correct?
Yes.
Well, that's marginally relevant to that. I mean, whether he's suspended or not because of something he heard from some other detective bears little relevance to this case and hardly has any probative value.
Well, all investigations, Your Honor, are just detectives going around talking to people and hearing things. That's all an investigation is. We're not saying that he did any CSI type work where he was, you know, pulling out evidence or anything like that. So all he did as a follow-up detective was talk to people. And so that's why it's completely relevant to his investigation.
Well, just because detectives talk to people doesn't make the information they receive admissible. Okay, we have the hearsay rule, we have rules of evidence must apply, but why don't we do this? We're going to see if it's going to come in to attack your character, and if you want to renew your request to have it admissible to determine the effect it had on this investigation, I'll revisit it, because it might be a moot issue, but we'll see. All right, so we will hold off on any discussions or cross-examination on Detective Pizzuti until after the 402 hearing. All right, now is there any other issue?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so what witnesses do you have lined up for tomorrow?
Jane Doe 2 and all the deputies who've spoken to her since then. We also may potentially, given the clip that we're working at right now, get to Jane Doe 3 even as early as tomorrow afternoon. I currently have her slated to be here Thursday, but we're moving along. So.
Yeah, no, I want to move the trial along and have your witnesses ready, you know, maybe on standby for tomorrow afternoon, and you can see how we look at noon and see if things are moving along to the point where she needs to come in. But I plan to go till 4:30 every day. These jurors are on the hook for a long period of time, and I want to make sure we move the case along.
I appreciate
All right?
that.
Are there any other requests at this time?
Counsel, what are your
I'll talk to counsel off the record.
Right, okay, all right. We're in recess. Have a good evening.